Welcome to Nightique. I'm Edward St. Pé. We'd like to thank you for being a viewer of Nightique. We really appreciate it, and keep in mind you can get in touch with us at any time via our website at nightique.com, where we also archive many of our prior shows. Tonight, we'll get a chance to meet a Mississippi and a global icon, Mr. James Meredith. An exclusive interview with James Meredith coming up on this edition of Nightique. Stay tuned. We'll be right back after these important messages.
Since 1849, Carter Jewelers has been a part of Jackson's rich history. Over 163 years later, we've not only survived, Carter Jewelers has flourished. From generation to generation, we've established a tradition of excellence. Our reputation is built on customer satisfaction, service, and trust. Every piece of jewelry is handpicked, so you know you're getting the best value.
Nobody says I do like we do at Carter Jewelers.
Come see us and be part of our history.
Hi, I'm Dr. Amanda Rice with Quinn Healthcare, and I believe in the power of exercise. Many patients ask me if they would develop high blood pressure or diabetes just because their parents did. I tell them that although we cannot change our genetics, we can control our diet and level of exercise. Simply making better choices can change your life. I'm Dr. Amanda Rice with Quinn Healthcare, and I want you to know that you are in control.
Well, with us tonight, Mr. James Meredith. Mr. Meredith, thank you for being with us again. It's a pleasure to have you here. And we were talking before we went on, and within the context of doing a television show, these days, you know, there are people all over the world that can view the show, even if not on their local television, they can view it via the internet. And so we are archiving these shows on our internet site, and you know, we're getting hits from around the world, many different countries. And that's how I would like to program this show, to put things on that anybody across the planet would have an interest in. And you, in my opinion, are one of the things that we have in Mississippi that is relative on a global scale. So thank you for being with us, and I'd like to ask you, tonight we're going to talk about some of the problems that you have talked about in the state, and some of the ways some of the problems can be addressed. So that to start up, what do you think about the state of people in Mississippi?
I think Mississippi is the center of the universe, and Mississippi is the apex of the problems confronting Western Christian civilization. And those two problems are, number one, rich and poor; number two, black and white. The black and white race issue, which is actually today not the number one issue, but the people who have benefit most from the status quo use the black-white race issue to continue the status quo.
Do you think that progress has been made over the last 50, 60 years?
I think that most people have spent the last 50 or 60 years defining the problem. And I promised God I was going to spend the rest of my life on a solution. And in that regard, I want to read for you a copy of a letter I wrote to Mississippi leaders January 1st, 1 month ago, yesterday, to Mississippi leaders from James Meredith, Ole Miss, 1962. Subject: my divine responsibility, a mission from God. Date 1 January 2015. In 1960, after 9 years in the desegregated military, I came back to Mississippi with a plan to destroy the system of white supremacy. Today, 55 years later, in Mississippi, we have a moral breakdown in the black family, in the black neighborhood, in the black community, and especially in our public education system. Mississippi blacks can solve these moral problems. The black Christian, through the black church, have the power to rectify these things. When things fall apart, how to put them back together again. Number one, prevention is better than cure. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Number two, it takes the whole village to raise a child. Number three, you should train up a child in the way he should go, and when he's old, he will not depart from it. Number four, God's plan. The way to teach a child right and wrong, good and bad, and how to apply these principles to life is to teach every child the 10 Commandments and the Golden Rule between birth and age 6. Number 5, the black church in Mississippi is the answer. Number 6, every black in the state of Mississippi live within walking distance of a black church. Number 7, every black church in Mississippi should take responsibility for finding every child living within 2 miles of their church and teaching them the 10 Commandments and the Golden Rule by age 6. Number 8, every black elder and church official should ask themselves every day these 2 questions. Number 9, is the black church fulfilling its mission? Number 10, are black Christians following the teachings of Jesus Christ? Sincerely, James Meredith, Ole Miss, 1962. That is the solution to our problem, and I promised God I was going to do the best the rest of my life to make those things happen.
So that was a letter to the legislators at the Capitol and the government.
Actually, at this point, I have sent copies to every mayor in the state of Mississippi, in every town with 200 or more blacks. And in terms of the legislature, every senator has had a copy put on his desk. Was supposed to have that done in the House, but the member of the House sort of disappeared, and it has not happened yet, but I'm sure it'll happen before the session is over. And every supervisor in the state of Mississippi and every sheriff, along with many of the religious leaders of the state, I have personally sent copies to by postage rather than the internet ways.
So what practically, from a practical standpoint, you've gotten that message out that the church is a vital factor in helping things work better for young people growing up and such.
It's not a matter of working, it's a matter now of putting things back together that have broken.
So you think that there's been a moral breakdown generally?
I know there's been a total moral breakdown in the black race. And if we don't fix it, whole of Western Christian civilization is going to suffer.
What would you like to see anyone that receives this letter in the government, what would you like to see them do? What could be their response to what you wrote?
Well, Mississippi is the most Christian state anywhere in the world. Blacks in Mississippi are the most Christian of all. And they, I am convinced, really believe it, are really believers. And I think the only reason that these things are not being done is that the people don't know that they should do them.
You know, a question comes to mind. You know, there's been a lot of talk in the news about correcting a child. It's been recently in the NFL news about someone correcting their child, and there's a whole lot of stir about that. A lot of people came out, and a lot of people in the black community came out and said, wait a minute, you guys are condemning this man for correcting his child. This is sometimes what a child needs, this type of corporal punishment with a switch or whatever. And so there are two views of correcting a child. Now, biblically, I think if you look at it from that standpoint, the parent should correct the child. What is your feeling about that type of thing as far as the correcting of a child?
Well, what's really important is the basis of all of these things. What you just described is a result of the biggest fallacy that has occurred in the last 100 years in terms of Western Christian civilization. And that is putting social science on the same level with hard sciences. You cannot test people and determine that this, and that's what all of that is based on. But I promised God two things. Number one, I wouldn't lie no more. Number two, I wouldn't judge no more. So I'm not saying, because God told me, James Meredith, the problem is not what other people are doing. The problem is what James Meredith is not doing. So, but that, let's take the 1954 Supreme Court decision. It was determined on a fraudulent basis, and everybody knew it was fraudulent. They said the reason, the justification was because black children loved white dolls more than they did black dolls. Now, they knew that wasn't true, but they knew two things. Number one, nobody could prove it wasn't true. Number two, the people of the powers that be wouldn't question it. So, and from there on, we've been going downhill. Why did they say that this football player that spanked his child and what he was doing wrong? Because some social scientists did a study of people. People are not like iron and coal, air, water and air, where you can, people are not that way. But that's what the decisions have been made on, to keep the status quo. is what it amounts to.
I was kind of surprised at all of the, of course, you know, there are two sides to that story, I guess, but, you know, at least I can remember growing up, my daddy telling me about his mama with the switch, you know, and he had to go pick his own switch and bring it to his mama, and then she
I
whip him
must
with
be
the
about
switch.
the same age as your daddy. Mm-hmm. That was the biggest part of it.
It was the biggest pick it for mama. And so that's how, and you know, when I was growing up, my daddy would come after me if I was getting in trouble with a belt. And of course, he was in favor of that type of thing, and my mom was not. But you see, this is the reason why I tried to, you know, no matter what happened, I always feared the fact that if I got into trouble, Daddy was going to whip me. So when I look at it from my personal life, you know, I know in this particular case, maybe people said that it was he went overboard and everything, but just there was so much blowback on that this man was taken from his job, he was expelled from the NFL.
But again, I want to make the point. And the point is that the real problem is a moral character breakdown. I watch every day the news, the local news, and any day you can see where some 17, 16-year-olds killed somebody. The young people burning children and punishing them. And I see one thing that God has made clear to me. Everyone I see, I know don't know right and wrong. The sheriff of Warren County told me less than a year ago that almost every black he arrests, and 99% of all the people he arrests are black, that not only they didn't know right from wrong, their parents and often their grandparents didn't know right from wrong because they'd never been taught. And he made a statement I will never forget. He said, right to them is anything they can get away with. Now, instead of judging, which most people do, judging what others do or don't do, my God told me, James Meredith, the problem is you're not doing your job. In other words, I've been knowing that every child should be taught the Ten Commandments before the age of 6. But I ain't been telling nobody. So God said, it ain't the fault of the people who doing these things. It's your fault. Because you knew better and didn't do better. Didn't even tell the people, more or less didn't do it.
Well, Ms. Meredith, on that note, let's take a break. We're going to be back with James Meredith. You're watching Nightique. We'll be back after this.
Since 1849, Carter Jewelers has been a part of Jackson's rich history. Over 163 years later, we've not only survived, Carter Jewelers has flourished. From generation to generation, we've established a tradition of excellence. Our reputation is built on customer satisfaction, service, and trust. Every piece of jewelry is handpicked, so you know you're getting the best value.
Nobody says I do like we do at Carter Jewelers.
Come see us and be part of our history.
I'm Dr. Quinn, and I believe in the power of exercise. Many patients ask me if they're going to get high blood pressure or diabetes because their parents had these conditions. I tell them that we cannot control our genetics, but we can control our diet and level of exercise. Practicing healthy decisions result in a better outcome. I'm Dr. Quinn, and I want you to remember that you have control.
Ingalls Shipbuilding is hiring electricians, structural welders, machinists, ship fitters, pipe fitters, and pipe welders in our Pascagoula, Mississippi site. Signing bonuses available for pipe welders only. Positions are union represented. Come build your career with Ingalls Shipbuilding, go to www.huntingtoningalls.com/careers or call 888-935-1507. So, in essence, I guess what you're saying is that the church can play a greater part in helping to solve some of the problems that we're seeing here in the state and even beyond the state.
There are only two things I'm authorized to respond there. Number one, every black Christian and church official should ask themselves two questions. Is the black church fulfilling its mission? When Jesus Christ created his church, he gave it a mission. And every black church should ask the question, are they fulfilling that mission? Number two, are black Christians following the teachings of Jesus Christ? Those are two different subjects. Now, the first subject deals mostly with the leadership of the church. But the second one deals with the membership of the church. Every believer has a responsibility to teach every child the basic fundamentals of right and wrong. And that is God's law, which is the 10 Commandments. What Jesus Christ provided was the best way to get it done. And that is to do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Moses, when God gave Moses the 10 Commandments, it was a command, what the people had to do. Jesus Christ came with the idea of persuading people. But you can't persuade people that you don't tell. So it's really beyond me, and it is so clear in the Bible itself. The reason God gave Moses the 10 Commandments, they was designed to rebuild a broken people. The black race is a broken people. And that's what the 10 Commandments are designed to do. And of course, Jesus Christ, in addition to salvation, provided the people with, I started to say, an easier way to do the right thing. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. So you know, I'm definitely forbidden to try to interpret religion, because God keep telling me the problem, James Meredith, is not what other people doing that you think ain't right. The problem is you're not doing your job. You're not doing your little bit that I assign you to do. And you stick to that, and me and the rest of the world will straighten out everything.
Okay, on that note, we're going to take another break, and we'll be back with our closing with Mr. James Meredith after this.
Since 1849, Carter Jewelers has been a part of Jackson's rich history. Over 163 years later, we've not only survived, Carter Jewelers has flourished. From generation to generation, we've established a tradition of excellence. Our reputation is built on customer satisfaction, service, and trust. Every piece of jewelry is handpicked, so you know you're getting the best value.
Nobody says I do like we do at Carter Jewelers.
Come see us and be part of our history.
Stop paying expensive repair bills now. When you own a car, SUV, or truck, sooner or later it will break down, and that will cost you thousands of dollars. Just one transmission job could cost over $3,000. A new engine could cost over $4,000. Did you know that the odds of your car breaking down are greater than your being in an accident? You wouldn't drive without auto insurance. If you own a 2002 vehicle or newer with less than 125,000 miles, a vehicle service contract from CarTection.com could save you thousands of dollars. Qualifying is easy. A custom plan is created for you. You select the coverage that's right for your vehicle and budget. Call for a no-obligation risk-free quote now. Your covered repairs will be paid directly to your mechanic for you.
Ingalls Shipbuilding is hiring electricians, structural welders, machinists, ship fitters, pipe fitters, and pipe welders in our Pascagoula, Mississippi site. Signing bonuses available for pipe welders only. Positions are union represented. Come build your career with Ingalls Shipbuilding. Go to www.huntingtoningalls.com/careers or call 888-935-1507. Well, we've been talking to Mr. James Meredith and our guest tonight. And Mr. Meredith, I thank you for coming, and we would like to have you back again soon to talk to us again. And all of these shows, this show as well as other shows, you can look at them in HD on our website, Nightique.com. Also, you can get in touch with us about any ideas you have about the show. Also, if you've got some guests you'd like to recommend to us. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time on Nightique.